Chris T here, bringing you a video all about how to realistically start locomotives within the world of Run 8. This video will cover things you can do to give yourself that extra shot of realism within the sim. First things first though, some things will be simulated. Since there aren't a lot of breakers to flip and no battery knife switch to pull or anything like that, we'll have to use some little imagination to keep it realistic. We're going to be working within the limitations of the sim, so we'll make some stuff up. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, the first unit we'll work with is the SD40 It's one of the most popular units in the sim in terms of road power, and you'll find it on almost every road train out there. One of the nice things about this unit, the SD70ACe, is that these units can be set up and started without ever leaving the cab. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. After taking control of the locomotive, you'll find all the switches and breakers are in their default position. Let's go ahead and flip the engine run switch right here, and the control switch. Kick up the step lights, which you won't be able to see in the daylight except for at night, and the gauge light switch. These are all located to the left of the MFD. Flip around here behind us, kick the isolation switch to start. Okay, the headlight switch we'll leave alone since we're just a single unit, but depending on how you're running things, you can go ahead and flip your headlight switch all the way through to what you need it for. So everything's all set up. We can go ahead and kick the engine start switch on. And if you bring it up in the MFD right here, you can watch everything occur right here on the locomotive monitor MFD. Okay, the MFD now shows ready, and it's running. So we'll go back here behind us again. We'll flip the isolation switch over to run. Now you'll notice the main reservoir, the red letters here under the word main, are starting to climb. What we can go ahead and do, now we have it set to run and all the breakers are up, and go ahead and go to notch 1. See, if you notice there in the middle, the compressor RPMs increase at notch 1. Optimum air charging is achieved with the throttle in notch 1 on the ES44DCs, something to be considered when pumping up a big train. Slowly climb. You can see it's moving much faster now, and the brake cylinder is also coming up. It's moving much faster since we moved it to notch 1. So that'll run for a few minutes. Ultimately, you want to get the main reservoir out of the red and get it up into a more tolerable number. Anywhere between about 110, 120 to 140 is a good, nice and full main reservoir. So it's good and coming up. Now we'll go over here. We'll release the automatic. Okay. You now notice the air brakes have restored. The reservoir showing 90 on the brake pipe, and the flow went up and it has come back down. Now with the air brakes released, you can go ahead and kick the fuel generator switch up, and don't forget your dynamic brake switch. You want to make sure that's up too. And now just right side the cab, hit F5, release the handbrakes, and you're good to go. That's it's pretty easy. It's a relatively easy thing to do, but that's the realistic way to start and start an ES44DC. Within the realm of the sim. If you want to do it all the right way and put all your switches up at one time, that's how you go about doing it. So let's go to the left here. We'll get into this SD40 and show you how to start that one. Alrighty, as the grand majority of you know, this is an SD40-2. The SD40-2, GP40-2, SD40T-2, and the SD45-2 all have the same cab layout in the sim. So it works for a Jeep, will work for a tunnel motor, and so on and so forth. So for all intents and purposes, I'm going to refer to this as an SD40 from here on out, and everything I'm about to show you will work across all 4 variants of the SD40 and the GP40 that we've got. Alright, up inside the cab now, you'll notice that the SD40 has the same switches but in a few different places. Once you're in behind the stand, we're going to go ahead and flip the engine run switch and the control and fuel pump switches, which are located directly below the ammeter. Down here to the left and below the parking brake and to the left of the throttle, dynamic brake and all that are your gauge lights. Make sure you kick them up too. And then turn around here, and on the back wall way up here on the back wall above the emergency fuel cutoff switch is the platform lights. You want them on too. Alright, with those all on, the isolation switch should be already set to start, stop, isolate. On EMDs, that position serves all three purposes. So you don't need to mess with it to start the unit, it's just the way it is. You just need to mess. We'll turn it up when we start the unit. So once you got that all done, we're going to have to go outside the unit for this one. So, you know, shift F12 it, or F12 it, however you prefer. Go outside. Click it. Start it. Inside, she's idling, okay? One thing we'll notice now over here, your main reservoir needle is going to start to climb. Along with your equalizing reservoir. I have the unit released because I'm still getting the bug where if you apply the automatic with a single unit too much, it'll dump the unit, and that'll totally defeat the purpose of this. So in the same realm, main reservoir's coming up. Over here, kick and run. Alright, with the SD40s, the GP40s and all that, they act differently than the ES44DCs. The air compressor is connected to, it's not electric, it's connected to the drive shaft. So when you notch up, the compressor works harder and faster. So optimum charging is, some guys say up to notch 4. I like to do between notch 2 and 3, so we'll go ahead and we'll rack it up here to 2 or 3 and help build it up. Well, this is all going on too. Same thing with the ES44. Leave the engine in neutral. Don't go forward or backward. You don't want to see. As you can see, we're not drawing any amps. So we don't want to draw any amps while we're sitting still. We just want the engine to run to turn the shaft to keep the compressor running harder. Our main reservoir now. Equalizing reservoir's up to 90. Brake cylinders at 72 because the independent's applied. You can see on the right the white brake pipe's at 90. And we're over 120 on the reservoir. So, main reservoir. So we'll go ahead and do what we need to do. Now that this is done, you can go ahead and notch off. Save fuel. And in this case, if you had more than one unit, this is where you would release the automatic. Like I said, I had the bug the other day where I put the air on with one light unit and it dumped the train. So that bug's still in and about the sim. So we're just going to go ahead and skip that. But now that you've got this, go ahead and set your generator field switch up, and you're good to go. I don't believe there's a dynamic brake switch within the cab here. That's on the clickable menu outside. So, but there you go. Easy as pie in the SD40. So, like I said before, this will apply across the board to the Jeeps, the SD40s, tunnel motors, and the 45s. So, what you did here will work everywhere else. So, let's go over here and check out the ACE, see what it'll do. Okay, here we are inside the cab of the SD70ACe. Quick note, the NS and the Run 802 ACEs, and the other free UP one, I think, has the air gauges on the control stand, like an SD70M would. We're not going to use those for this purpose because we're treating this as an ACE, so we will use the MFD's brake computer only for this. But again, the process is the same. As you'll start to notice, they're getting pretty repetitive now. But over here again, on the control stand to the left of the MFD, engine run, fuel pump. We'll scooch forward a little bit so we can see down here because the throttle knocks it off. Gauge lights. We want the dynamic brake up now. Yeah, we can put the dynamic brake up now. Dynamic brake, better do it now than forget about it. But down here are your pilot and step lights, so make sure you kick them up too. And on the back wall, after you got all that done, a little busier over here. Up here up the top, you have the fresh air makeup blower switches and the maintenance lights. You don't need to mess with those, because when you leave the cab and come back, they will reset to their default down position, so it's not even worth messing with them. Make sure your dynamic brake switch is cut in, because you can actually cut the unit out with the dynamic brake switch. So make sure she's up to cut in. Okay? Again, with the EMDs, the isolation switch, you have run up top, start, stop, isolate, and inspect. So you know, see, it can go both ways, and that's it, only two positions. So leave it at start. Make sure your headlight switch is set up properly, and we should be good to go. To the left of the headlight control switch is the start switch. So just push that, and we'll listen to that sweet pneumatic startup that they put in here, which is awesome. Can't hear it priming. It's really quiet in here. Alright, there we go. Again, you can tell when it's done loading, starting, because the main reservoir will start to build. And there we go. Alright. Main reservoir's building, so the same thing as before. Kick your gen field up. Set her to run. And we'll go to notch 1 to charge it up. Alright, through the magic of editing, I skipped ahead because watching the main reservoir come up for a third time is getting old quick. So she's up to 140 pounds. Let's go ahead and give it a release of the automatic. Flow comes up, flow comes down, 90 in the reservoir, 90 on the pipe. So go back here, kick your handbrakes off, and she's all good to go. So that's it, it's easy. That's how you start and set up engines as realistically as possible in Run 8. I use these methods when I'm getting power in a situation where they were probably shut down after an assignment or waiting for a new crew, like a local. They were in a yard, you know, and you're the first crew that's going to be using them for their next shift. You know, you get on, set them up, you know, flip all your switches, you know, brake test them and everything, which I'm going to cover in another video. Things like that. Out on the main line, if you get a train that's been sitting in a siding, or like up a Barstow, it's just on the main, and it's just waiting for a recrew, and somebody shut them down, which is fine. I just go into the engines and I flip the reverser forward like I'm doing the auto start sequence, like they've automatically shut themselves down. Then I go outside and I click the leader and I hit, auto start and auto MU and circuit breakers and things like that, just to get myself up and running quickly. Because those trains are going to have the power set up running, and like they've already been shut down. So this is a good way if you want to take a train out of the yard, or you're going to be using yard power for a long time, and you want to immerse yourself in and feel like you're going to be in the units for a while, and they're your units, and you want to treat them like that. So that's just a good way to kind of immerse yourself and get the full experience out of it. So I hope you guys like this little tutorial. I'm going to do some more videos and some tips, tricks, little methods on how to make Run 8 as realistic as possible. Try to draw you into the real railroading experience. So take care, guys. I hope you enjoyed it.